Today, we have a special treat. One of our leading CPA and financial wizards, the BTN, is going to speak to us. I'm not exactly sure what the subject matter is, but I'm so happy that you're going to talk to us because every time you do, everybody in this room learns a lot.
Thank you.
And we need to learn more.
Yeah,
So,
you and me both. All of us, yeah.
Having said that,
Okay.
I wish you adieu.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah, he always gives such great introductions. Yeah, appreciate that. Well, good morning, everybody. As Peter mentioned, my name is Sonya Wong, and I'm a CPA, and I like the financial wizard rather than the financial professional because it just sounds more grand. So I just wanted to share some information. I know I didn't give people the heads up as to what I was going to talk about today, but I think that a lot of us think about retiring every once in a while, and I just thought it would be good for me to talk about the topic of risk that affects everyone, but especially retirees. What exactly is risk? My definition of risk, in simple terms, is the possibility that something bad can happen. So that's my definition of risk. Retirees face 10 risks during their lifetime. The first one being longevity risk. We don't want to outlive our money, right? We want our retirement assets to, be able to last us throughout our life, and then hopefully be able to pass those resources on to our families, our beneficiaries. And then the second risk is inflation risk. So you probably hear about, in our everyday terms, hey, how come the prices are so high, right? You can walk around Trader Joe's and you'll hear people around you saying, hey, how come the prices are so high? It means that our purchasing power has diminished, right? So $1 today will most likely not buy the same portions tomorrow. And then the third thing is a big deal, right? Healthcare costs. Usually a lot of people retire and they don't really take healthcare costs into account, and they tend to increase over time. And that's exaggerated by the fact that, hey, we don't, a lot of the healthcare professionals, we don't have enough of those people. We are going to experience a really sharp nursing shortage, if not already. Just on a personal level, I have a friend who, she's only 50 something, and she used to be a nurse, and she says she doesn't want to go back because the working conditions are terrible. No amount of money will bring her back because it's terrible. And yes, we could address the nursing shortage with maybe importing workers, right? Immigration, but even that alone cannot solve the problem. So that's what can drive up healthcare costs. And then the next thing is investment risk, right? There is a chance that an investment may not perform when you need it to, right? You're going to need your investment to grow so that you can use that money to retire. And then the next thing is interest rate risk. So, interest rate risk can be an issue. It depends on what side of the coin you are on, right? Let's say that you're a retiree and you're living on a fixed income, and maybe most of your resources are parked in a savings account or a bond that you bought in 2018. Remember, interest rates were really low from 2018 to 2021, and then they took a really sharp upward surge in the past few years. So, interest rate risk can be a problem for retirees. And then market risk. So you hear a lot about the market, just being very volatile. And I know that we've experienced that in 2001, 2008. If you're a retiree and you retire when the market's down, you're not going to want to take money from your investments because you want it to grow. You want to be able to, just continue to grow that nest egg. But if you have to take money out, then there's less to grow from. And then the next thing is sequence of returns, which is kind of related to market risk. But what sequence of return means is when you're retired, like let's say the timing of your retirement coincides with a market downturn and you need that money. So as you take that money, it's going to, basically reduce that nest egg. So we keep going back to the same theme of timing and, whether the market performs. And then number 8 is liquidity risk. So what that means is you could have a sudden emergency, right? But you may not have the cash to address that sudden emergency. You may be cash poor and house rich, and it will take a while to sell that home, but not if you sell with Spenker.
Yeah, one week.
You see how I plugged it for you?
Liquid realtor.
Yeah, liquid realtor. Yeah, that's a good nickname for you. And then public policy risk. That's just, that's also known as legislative risk, and it covers the area of taxes, Medicare, and healthcare costs. So, Congress, the president, they all have a hand in public policy risk. And then number 10, frauds and scams. So, it's something that we're all vulnerable to, but especially retirees, right? Because at that stage in their life, they're maybe a little less technologically savvy than the rest of us. And maybe they may not have family or friends that can help them. So, they don't know, they don't know what they don't know, and they're not protected. So, how can we address fraud and scams? Well, we have attorney generals in every state. So every once in a while they send out bulletins to let people know what the latest scams are. And so that's how you can protect yourself. And that's not the only way. If you're looking for a financial advisor or an investment advisor, you can actually do a background check on them. You can actually go to finner.com and do a broker check. And then also you can do the same checks on attorneys, you can check on CPAs, you can go to the State Board of Accountancy and find out if a CPA has any dings on their record. And you can go to the American Bar Association to check on whether any attorney had actions taken against them or any warnings. And when I look for a doctor, I usually go to it's the California Medical Board, just before, because there are so many service providers, but you want to make sure that you find the right one for you and somebody who doesn't have a bad track record. And FBI too. You can go to the FBI and they usually have, information about scams as well. How do you build your financial lifeline? The first thing we want to do is we want to understand and plan for the risk. How do we do that? And that can mean different things for different people, but the general framework starts with careful planning. And I remember Ben mentioning that his parents were very intentional about how they were doing their planning, and as a result, they were able to build a nice, just like a nice legacy for their family, basically. And then the second thing is appropriate insurance. I know that when people think about insurance, they kind of, they're like, what about it? Yeah, right? It doesn't exactly, doesn't exactly excite people, but, it's great protection. And by appropriate insurance, I mean, well, to address issues like long-term care, right? If you could pay $1 for $3 to $5 of care, would you do it? Is that a good investment? Rather than you having to pay the whole $3 or $5 for that long-term care. And the other thing for the younger folks are things like disability insurance, right? Maybe some short-term disability insurance, that would also help. There is such a thing. And then the next thing is diversifying your assets. Let's say that you're working for a company and you have a 401k. That shouldn't be the only thing that you depend on when you retire, because as you know, 401ks are vulnerable to market volatility. And you can even see on the statements where in fine print where it says past performance is not an indicator of future performance. So, you definitely want to do different things. Like I heard Johnny mention many months ago, something like, yeah, he's working on building up his passive income. So that helps. And then, if passive income is not an option, look at other ways besides putting money into the stock market. And then also exploring additional financial vehicles. Our very own Paul Javahari, he handles reverse mortgages. And, for certain people, that is the right solution. So, I would encourage you to, look within the group and see how they can help you. And then this is always really important. You can set up a plan. Yeah, you've got to implement it, right? And then you've got to monitor it at least once a year. Okay, at a minimum, you got to monitor at least once a year. And, if you can get to that point, you should probably meet every quarter. Not necessarily to, like panic and sell investments, but, just take a look and see, hey, is there anything that I can do better? Or are there any changes where I need to make those? So that you can better enjoy your retirement, you'll want to also look into managing your risk. And so hopefully you came away with some good general ideas, and that'll spark a conversation with your financial professional, or you can always talk to Ben, me, Paul. And so, yeah, any questions?
Excellent presentation.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's just something that, well, we should all think about, no matter how close or far away we are from retirement.
Right.
Yeah. Hey,
In
John.
your experience, what would be like the biggest mistake that people overlook or make? Like, what's the one tip if you had one to give everybody in retirement planning?
Usually it's the healthcare costs. Everyone thinks that I'm like really healthy now, right? And they don't think that, okay, well, 30 years down the road, I'm gonna need more healthcare, or I'm gonna need some long-term care assistance. Actually, some of us know some people in this. Some people know like Donna and Alan.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a client. Each of us has a client who they thought ahead, and they purchased long-term care, and as a result, they have this nice safety net. Otherwise, they would have had to sell their house, and they would have had because that long-term care is something. Yeah, it's a nice house, right? I think Aaron's been there too. Yeah, so because Donna and Alan did some really good planning and purchased long-term care insurance, they're able to stay in their house, and their son doesn't have to come and take care of them because Alan has his own, assistant. So that's like the number one thing, is the health care and the long-term care. Nobody ever thinks they need it, but you're fighting against the law of the law of statistics, basically. Yeah. So good question. Hey, Chad.
I think I just want to go on that. Like how I have my own little experience with the long-term healthcare, not for myself, but like for family members.
Yeah.
And man, that's the best question and the best answer, because it's crazy. I mean, just going into a nursing home or something can be like $10,000 a month. So
exactly.
even if you had $1 million, it's like how long hundreds of thousands of dollars don't last very long at all.
Exactly.
So a small insurance policy now, especially when you're young. Don't wait till you're in your 50s, because the price gets so high.
It does.
That when it finally comes time to needing that, then it's there. And what an amazing thing that is, to have out there.
It is.
You save all the money in the world, but you blow it so fast just on a $15,000 a month service for someone to take care of you.
Yeah, it's like you think about it, and it's like, wow, what happened to that money? Where did it all go? Right? It didn't go into a tangible thing, but you needed to spend that money in order to get the care that you got. So Ben and I help clients with that all the time. Yeah.
So just on that topic, just for everybody, if you had to guess, how quickly is the cost of healthcare doubling? If you had to guess in years,
How quickly?
Is it double 2 years? Doubling every 2 years? That would be high.
So it feels like
every 10?
in my life
About every 10 to 12 years. So if the cost of long-term care services now for a family member is $100,000 a year, In 10 to 12 years, that'll be $200,000. In 10 to 12 more years, that'll be $400,000.
Back to
Yeah.
your inflation risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've got a nice nest egg,
Yeah.
it'll all be wiped out.
It'll all be wiped
Double
out.
the money.
So, Sonya,
Yeah.
is it similar to life insurance as far, but as far as, are there terms where you pay in and then once you're done, it's over, or does it continue? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's structured with different terms. Like you can opt to fund it all at once, or you can fund it over the course of 5 years or 10 years. I know people would rather get it done and out of the way, and so they usually fund it over 10 years, 5 years. Yeah.
And does it continue for a lifetime?
Yeah,
Or you
the care
can
continues.
purchase-
Yeah,
okay,
so you know, some of the solutions that Ben and I work with, it's actually funded for a short period of time, but then it's a lifetime of care, right? And it has to be structured properly.
Right.
And also, just as a quick comment.
Yeah.
You know, if you're approaching that retirement age, a significant portion of the premiums that you're paying can be written off on your taxes.
Yeah.
So the government wants to incentivize you to get your own coverage as opposed to being basically bankrupt on Medi-Cal.
What portion?
Depends on your age. There's a table, but once
Yeah.
you start getting into your 60s, it might be like about 50%, give or take.
Yeah.
And if you start getting into 70s, 80s, 60, 75, et cetera. So, but ideally, younger and healthier is better.
Yeah. So, see, he is the tax exterminator. And I do have a table to send you all. So, you can, when you're when you're paying the premium, funding the premium, you can deduct a part of that.
Is there a total cost for that? Let's say someone had a lump sum of money.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna pay this and this is gonna cover, long-term care.
Yeah, you get to dictate, depends on it. Of course, it's a function of how much you fund into the policy, right? And for how long, and then they calculate, okay, well, what will the benefits be? So, you want to sit with your professional and then go through something called an illustration, right? And it'll show you what the benefits are. You have to.
And so maybe just to give a rough figure, let's say you're 60 years old and it's just on yourself. As a rough heuristic, for every dollar that you put in, you might get $3 to $5 out.
Okay.
Just as a vague thing, but also if you're significantly younger or you're significantly older, poorer health, etc., all those are factors that would.
So if you're older in good health,
Well, if you're younger and in good health,
Yeah.
it might be $8 for every dollar that you put in, or $10.
so age really makes a difference.
Yeah,
age-
it does.
Age and health, because of as Einstein says, the eighth wonder of the world is compound interest, and the more time that you have for your money to compound, the better returns you'll get.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to pay a lot.
Well, you look healthy.
I'm 58.
Okay, well, still relatively young.
And you might not even qualify if you have say you had a surgery 20 years ago and
Oh, well, not
they have,
20 years. It depends on what it is too.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if it was surgery for like an appendix, that's not gonna, count towards that.
Cool, I had that.
How long are we living for on average? Is that going up or leveling off for men and women? What's the age that
well,
we can expect life expectancy?
So,
COVID years or-
this is slightly depressing, guys, because we've reached a point to where our mortality is like declining.
It's declining.
Really?
Yes.
Because I remember it was always increasing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was when when the
Well,
baby boomers were
the
young.
good news is probably the health for the baby boomers is going to be longer than their kids. Their life.
outliving their kids.
Yes.
Well,
that you mean.
just do it.
Yeah.
Life expectancy,
I know, it's
yeah.
surprising, right?
So boomers and Gen Xers
Isn't
will
that
probably live
heavily
longer than
influenced by
millennials.
COVID though, over the last couple of years? Isn't that what's impacting?
COVID and
It
also
had some-
suicide rates, but just general health and stress levels.
Yeah.
And that's part of the pandemic too, right?
I think Gen Xers will be the ones who are
Yeah, go, sir.
gonna die earlier.
More board meetings.
Who did all the drugs?
Hey,
Except for me.
we were latchkey kids. Yeah, latchkey kids. Yeah, was there a question I didn't answer?
Can you help me cook my books?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you're doing things right and working with Sonya, you won't need you to cook the books.
That's right, yeah, because, you know, I'm bound by ethics. I
okay.
can't do that, but I can help you, clean some things up. Yeah. And I'll send you the table.
Am I
Yeah.
better off waiting to draw Social Security, like push it off further for the larger amount, or taking it earlier?
So it depends on what other assets you have, what other retirement assets you have. And I actually did, for a member, I like to keep things confidential. So I actually did a little projection for a few of our members here, and you know, I can use that program. It's free to me, all right? So I can definitely run some numbers for you. Yeah. So the answer is it depends, right? You know, because we don't want to jeopardize we want to optimize your retirement, basically. So I saw a hand raised around here. Oh, okay. Okay, well then I'll go ahead and conclude.
Thank you.